Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name in the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. Payroll problems, they vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. GST, payroll, all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J, Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J, Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. The tax act's just a paper myth unless you work for CRA, no ifs. He buys your corp, clears every cent, then laughs while walking from the government. Restructure payroll, skip the fees, fire the tax man with graceful ease. He's winning battles in the courts each day. Soon he'll cost the feds $1 billion. Kevin J, Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, Kevin J, Canada's freedom ray. If you're buried
Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show. Tonight's episode is called Illegal Shit the CRA Does. I know we've covered this one before, but you guys are going to be absolutely floored at the fact that this is something I am covering when I got my hands on just one little letter. That is correct. One little letter is all it took to get this entire episode put together. The CRA broke so many laws with one act against a client of mine that is all we're going to be covering on tonight's show. A little letter. In fact, what I was going to do was make about a 2-minute video about this letter. But then I realized, holy frijoles, there is a lot of crime being committed in this letter and in these actions. So I decided to make it the entire show for tonight. Yes, I know that we're getting a bit of a blur on this phone. It might just be the phone. All right. This phone over here, brand new. This phone over here, 8 years old. This one over here, 2. All right. So actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not 8 years. It's 9 years old now. Wow. I've had this phone for 9 years. So that's probably what's going on. The camera may be not interpreting things properly. All righty. We are going to get all of you to save your tax, crypto, and money questions until the second hour of the show, everyone. I want to get through crimes that the CRA are committing, illegal SHIT that the CRA is doing on a daily basis. Let's start right off the hop here. For those on Rumble, you can see me here with this letter. This letter was written by someone named Desiree Kelly, not a good human being at all, someone who really enjoys harming people. I've spoken to this individual on 2 occasions, and now this individual dodges all of my calls. I'd like all of you to type into the subject line, into the chat right now. Desiree's phone number is 431-373-0580. And that's not a private number. That is a CRA government office number. I'd like all of you to call this individual, especially after you hear what I've got to say about what she did, and ask her, just be nice. Could you please stop threatening people? And could you please just, not break the law anymore? It is okay for all of you to become journalists, just like me. I started off as an amateur before I went full pro. And how do you do it? You ask questions. You make lots of phone calls to phone numbers, especially those who work in the government. All right, so let's start reading this letter right now. This letter was dated November 30th of 2025, came across my desk about a week ago. I decided to read into it and then read into it some more and then read into it further. And the more I read, the more I kept getting my upper echelon of my staff involved, asking, are you guys seeing the same thing that I am seeing? Are you reading the same thing I am reading? To which we all said, yeah, we're reading the same thing. Here we go. It says, Dear Sir or Madam, attachment. It is a liability of directors. Okay, look, this director's liability thing, I'm going to cover this all night. I know a lot of you are asking me about it in all the chat rooms. This is what this show is about. So sit tight, everyone. If you have any director's liability, you're not going to have it anymore after tonight's show. Here we go. This individual, this Desiree individual, before I read this letter, I'll give you just a little bit more background, decided to freeze the bank account of a client of mine. That's right, freeze the bank account, then made a phone call to my client, threatening my client, stating that they were going to take her business, they were going to shut down her entire life, that they were going to take her house and take her car, take everything. And then this letter comes out with instructions to take the corporate debt that my client doesn't have anymore because I bought the company, but this debt that the CRA said that the person had needed to be signed off on to be taken from corporate debt to personal debt. Now, let me repeat what I just said. They shut down her bank account. They froze everything. The lady could not pay her mortgage or pay her staff. And then said, we will give you back your bank account if you sign this contract that we're about to send you right now, and we will unlock the bank account. And this letter says the following. I am or have been a director of X Corporation as of November 30th, 2025. This corporation owes the Canada Revenue Agency $687,323.68 for unremitted goods and services tax or harmonized sales tax and unremitted source deductions under the Income Tax Act of Manitoba and Canada Pension Plan and Employment Insurance Act. Now, right off the hop, let's imagine that this debt was actually real. Let's think about all the boo-boos that are being made here. It seems that my lessons are not being learned out there about clustering corporations, where Corporation A does all the sales, brings in all the money. Corporation B holds all of your money. You remove it from the operations company and you put it all in the holding company. And then you have me and my corporation take over your payroll and your GST and HST reporting, and you'll never have these problems again. But let's continue on. It says under Section 323 of the Excise Tax Act and 227.1 of the Income Tax Act, the parallel provisions of the Income Tax Act of Manitoba and Section 21.1 of the Canada Pension Plan and Section 83 of the Employment Insurance Act, directors of a corporation may, not must, but may be held jointly and severally or solidarily liable together with the corporation to pay this amount and any interest and penalties relating to it. All right, so we need to cover that for a quick second here. All of you who have tax debt in Canada have it for one reason and one reason only, is you did a goddamn tax return. That's the problem. You did a tax return. Had you not ever done a tax return, you would never have any tax problems. But a series of tax returns were done. A really awful accountant did this lady's books, screwed everything up, and the CRA decided to pull this illegal stunt. Let's continue on with the letter. The Canada Revenue Agency has agreed to release the requirements to pay issued to National Bank of Canada for the liability totaling $687,323.68. However, the Canada Revenue Agency will not release these requirements to pay until I sign this document. Wow. My God. You may as well say that you can't leave my house. I'm going to keep pointing this gun at you, even though I have no reason to, and you can't leave unless you shine my shoes and maybe clean my floors. That's what's being said here. This is pretty severe stuff. I will not, and this is where I get irritated, because it goes on to say this, all right? And the CRA provides this letter, but they expect you to sign this thing. I will not use or rely on the fact that the Canada Revenue Agency agreed to release the requirements to pay as an argument or grounds for defense in proceedings resulting from the applications of the provisions of Section 323 of the Excise Tax Act and 227.1 of the Income Tax Act and the parallel provisions of the Income Tax Act of Manitoba and Section 21 of the Canada Pension Plan and Section 83 of the Employment Insurance Act. The Canada Revenue Agency advised me to get independent legal advice about this document before signing it. Holy hell. So they're robbing you, and then they tell you that you won't sue us. You can't sue us because we're robbing you. And you can't sue us simply because we're going to make you sign this letter that you don't understand that says you can't sue us. Whew. Okay, so it goes on. I'll finish it off here. Then it says the Canada Revenue Agency advised me to get independent legal advice about this document before signing it. And then there's two check boxes. One, I got advice, and one, I did not get that advice. Then you date it, and you put your director's signature, and you get a witness to sign it, and the director's name and the witness's name. Right. And this gets sent into the CRA. So this Desiree Kelly DESIREE Kelly, officer number, loser number 1251, is just a collections officer. Like, don't be fooled, everybody, by the name officer. The name officer means nothing. It's junk. It's a job title like schmuck or loser or shlomo or shmoo or anything else. It doesn't mean anything. They're not cops. They're just angry losers, bereft of imagination and humanity. You do not have to do anything, the Canada Revenue Agency says, period. Now, could everybody please put that phone number back up? This is Desiree Kelly. This is the one who committed 9 crimes in this letter, 9 crimes, and willingly made the phone call to back up these crimes and to reinforce the intimidation that she was putting forth. So the phone number, everyone put this down. Now, everybody, on TikTok, Kick, Rumble, YouTube, everywhere. 4, 3, 1, 3, 7, 3, 0, 5, 8, 0. Don't call and threaten. Right? It's okay to call and make fun, I suppose, but we would rather get some answers here. So maybe all of you could ask questions. Why it is you feel that you have the right to steal money from women and their children and their husbands and companies, and then blackmail them and extort them into signing letters that they don't understand and that they don't want to sign. Ask her, what's with all the criminal activity? Why can't you just be a decent human being? Desiree, you may as well change your phone number now, because I want all of you who are calling this individual to record the call. Thank you for that. Record the call, and whoever gets her to answer any question at all that we feel is going to be useful in any of our cases is going to get $1,000 of my own money. I'll give it to you. So everyone, start becoming citizen journalists. Call this individual to CRA and ask her why she's trying to extort a woman. You figure Desiree Kelly is also a woman, and that women are supposedly sisters at arms when it comes to harassment, but seemingly that's not true. Seemingly the women who work for the CRA are going to continue to threaten women who do not owe money to the CRA, but claim that they do. So now let's cover a couple of really important things, if we could, please. First off, I want you to understand all this excise tax crap, all this garbage that they put in these letters. Excise Tax Act, Section 323, about GST director liability. What the CRA claims that it does. They say that Section 323 allows the CRA to collect unremitted GST from directors personally if a corporation fails to pay. What the section actually requires and what the CRA does not do. A director is not automatically liable. Liability only arises if the person was a director at the time the failure occurred, and the CRA proves the director did not exercise due diligence. How would they prove that? They've never once proved that, ever. So every time they use director's liability, they're committing a crime. The CRA must first exhaust collection action against the corporation or prove in some way to the court that it would be futile to continue. For example, a corporation owes $20 million in GST and everybody's dead. Everyone's dead. Or everyone just left the country and abandoned Canada altogether. How would you collect? That would be considered futile. And if there was a director left over with Canadian bank accounts at that point, that's the person that they would chase, but they still have to prove that due diligence was not done. Isn't that interesting? How would you prove that? What number am I thinking of right now between 1 and 17 trillion? Any idea? Of course you don't. Well, I don't either, but you get the point. All right. It says that there is a strict limitation period. 2 years after the person ceased to be a director. That's it. It ends. So 2 years plus a day, the CRA cannot chase any of you for anything. Why this makes the CRA look bad? The CRA routinely skips or shortcuts corporate collection and jumps straight to the directors. Yeah, that's what they do. Illegal. CRA often ignores minute books, resignations, and factual control, lying instead on registry errors. I'm going to cover registries today, but what will happen is a director steps down and the province that they step down in does not record the step down, and the CRA is relying specifically and only on the province. And we all know how incompetent everybody who works for every province in Canada is. I cannot believe these people can tie their own shoes. I would never count on them to update my corporate records. All right. Due diligence is frequently dismissed by the CRA without meaningful analysis, even though courts say it is a full defense for you and for you and for you and for you and all of you. If they do not accept or review the due diligence done or even know that it took place, and they're going to use that to steal your money, you win in court. So the core defense theme here is Section 323 is not a punishment tool. It's a conditional, time-limited, and defense-heavy, poorly worded here. It's defense-heavy, my mistake. CRA, they misuse this into strict liability, which the statute does not allow. So you cannot take something where there is an option and change the rules because you feel like it. So all the scum who work for the CRA, this is what they do. They just skip due diligence. They have no idea what's in your corporate minute books, and how would they without a court order, which we know they won't get. So they go ahead and chase the director immediately. Alrighty. For everyone who's wondering about all the fake accounts out there, there is no email that I'm going to give you. There is no phone number I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you my website address. My name, Kevin J. Johnston, JOHNSTON.com. If you're not on that website, it's a scam. It's that simple. All right, there's more to this. Now we've got the Income Tax Act, Section 227.1, which is payroll withholdings and director liability. What the CRA claims that it does allows the CRA to collect unremitted source deductions like CPP, EI, and income tax from directors. What the section actually requires. Same structure as the previous one I just read. The director has to be relevant and has to be in place and not have retired at the time. The failure by the corporation to do its due diligence, and the CRA must show a lack of due diligence. They must show it. They must prove it. They got to prove it. How would they do that? They won't. The CRA must issue proper assessment and respect procedural fairness. In the same 2-year post-resignation limitation applies. Isn't that remarkable? Where the CRA commonly overreaches everybody. They treat directors as insurers of the crown rather than conditional guarantors. Now, that is a very important thing. You are not an insurer of the crown. All right, so you don't work for the crown. If you're collecting GST and the corporation, let's go with that. If the corporation's collecting GST or HST or payroll in Canada, the director is most likely not the one doing it. The director is just the ceremonial title that somebody gets that the CRA will chase. You should never be the director of a corporation. Getting back to the point of the statement is the crown is, okay, it's a stupid hierarchy. It's God who created a crown, and the crown sits on the monarch's head. So when we're talking about the crown, we're talking about England, because England is still kind of in charge of Canada, and the evidence to that would be the king or the queen or the monarch is always on our money, period. So the crown is the country. or in this case, the CRA. You don't work for the Crown unless you deliberately get a job for the Crown. And because you don't work for the Crown, you are not an insurer of the Crown unless you have either worked for them or you've signed a contract to become the insurer for the Crown, which of course would require you to be licensed in some way. And I don't think any of you are going to go and get licensed to become an insurer of the country of Canada for free. I don't think you're going to do that. I know I wouldn't. I don't think anybody else would either. So you are not insurers. You are a conditional guarantor. That's it. And only so long as you are the director of the corporation, which again, you should not be. If you're the director of a corporation right now, resign as of 3 years ago. That's the way you do it. Alrighty. They also, the CRA ignores evidence that the director did not control finances, relied on professionals, and acted reasonably in a crisis. They don't want to know that you did things right. They're just going to make accusations that you didn't. Accusations, of course, that they cannot back, but that's just how things are. And it's up to you, everyone, to fight back. Don't fear these idiots. Get angry and get even. They use pressure, threats, and bank account freezes before liability is legally established. And for that, they should be in prison. They should be in prison for that. Yeah. Core defense theme, section 227.1 is exceptional liability, not default liability. CRA behavior often contradicts Parliament's intent. So, with all of us, we all have to follow a procedure. We have to exhaust everything before we can go and like for the throat. You don't go to the end first. The CRA goes to the end first, skipping over all the procedures they must follow. Number 3, the parallel provincial provisions in Manitoba's income tax and payroll style statutes. So what matters legally, provincial director liability provisions are modeled on federal law. The courts interpret them narrowly, importing the same concepts as due diligence, actual directorship, limitation periods, procedural fairness. So a provincial court judge is actually going to go through those 4 steps and ask the CRA if they showed up in court to prove all of these things, and they won't. Why CRA style enforcement is vulnerable here: provinces do not have independent CRA level powers. They don't. The CRA doesn't have powers either. The provinces have less. It's not great. Over collection or assumption of liability without proof is harder to justify. Correct. And you, all of you owe me $50, but I can't prove it. And what if I locked your bank account down as a result of me claiming you owe me $50, not proving you owe me $50, and bypassing the courts and going straight to the bank and say, lock this guy's account and give me the money? How pissed would you be? Now, you'd be angry if it was me doing it because I'm just some middle-aged dude with a crappy beard. You fear the CRA when they do it. You go straight to tears. I don't understand. You get mad at me, but you don't get mad at the CRA. You give them your fear, and you would give me your lip. Something to think about. So if the federal foundation fails, provincial piggyback claims will fail as well. And that's why all this provincial nonsense it's nonsense. Provinces do not have independent CRA level powers. Over collection or assumption of liability without proof is harder to justify. If the federal foundation fails, all of it fails, and the CRA cannot lawfully establish liability federally. Provincial mirroring provisions collapse with it. All right. So if you cannot lawfully establish that there was a debt federally, then you cannot establish one provincially. That means the provinces, if the CRA screws up and you beat the CRA because they couldn't prove there was a debt, the province must accept that there is no debt as well. Number 4, Canada Pension Plan, Section 21.1. What the CRA claims that it does allows recovery of unremitted Canada Pension Plan contributions from directors. What the statute actually says in effect, CPP director liability is derivative, not independent. It follows the same logic and defenses as the Income Tax Act, Section 227.1. Due diligence is, again, a complete defense. Now, for those who don't understand due diligence, let me give you an example. You all know that I buy corporations that are struggling, and I will buy them for 20% of the value of the entire debt load that they have. I get everything, absolutely everything, including all the liability. But I have to do due diligence prior to me taking over that corporation. I need to find out if the corporation exists, if it still is active, if it actually has done business, if the person I'm talking to is actually an owner of the corporation to sell it to me, that the corporation has a GST or an HST number, that the corporation has got a tax file in some way. I need to know all the lawsuits filed against it. I need to know all the property that it owns, like cars and buildings. I need to know if the mafia is involved. Like, that's due diligence. I got to know everything. And if I don't know everything about the corporation, I can't buy it. It's that simple. I can't buy it because I will not be in compliance with an in good faith transaction where I did my job, I did my due diligence, everything checks out, I buy the company. What they're talking about here is you could do due diligence, and that would be something as simple as you looked at your spreadsheet, let's say 7 years ago, and you realized that there was no debt owed. You put down there was no debt owed, and the CRA did not accept your answer and put you to task anyway by assessing a dollar value, and then 7 to 10 years later, assess that dollar value to you because they feel like doing it. You cannot do that. Your due diligence when you were director was complete at the time, but they say that it wasn't, and how the hell would they know that? How would the CRA know if I did due diligence or I did not do due diligence? They might demand to see my paperwork, but they don't have the right to see that without a court order. They might want to see my corporate minute books. Again, no court order, no minute books. They might want me to answer questions. Well, I'm going to exercise my right to remain silent. Thank you very much. So no answers to your questions, everybody. All right. So let's move on. Where the CRA looks the worst, everyone, is the CRA often bundles CPP automatically with payroll debt without separate analysis, and there's no individualized assessment of conduct done. The directors are treated as if CPP liability is absolute, and it absolutely is not absolute. The core defense theme here, CPP Section 21.1 does not create a new weapon. It rides on the same narrow rails as the Income Tax Act. So if you all remember what I told you, the Income Tax Act does not pertain to you and me, period. The Income Tax Act pertains to them. We can simply quote the same Income Tax Act and say, yeah, you know what? You like Section 8, we like Section 12. And Section 12 is better than Section 8. So go to hell. All right, save your questions, guys. We'll be taking questions in 25 minutes here. Next, Employment Insurance Act, Section 83. What the CRA claims that it does. Permits recovery of unremitted employment insurance premiums from directors. My God, they always go after the director. Why the hell would you be the director? Don't be the director. If you are the director, resign now and backdate it 2 or 3 years, okay? It is that simple. What the section actually requires. Same architecture as CPP and ITA. That's Canada Pension Plan and Income Tax Act. The director status doesn't change. You've got the failure by a corporation to remit its taxes. That's not the director's fault. And then there's a lack of due diligence. They have not proved that you did not do due diligence. They can't. So it requires clear causal connection between the director's conduct and the failure. The EI liability is often assessed mechanically, not legally. Thank you very much. How often have I been saying the CRA are criminals? I'm saying it again. I'm saying it again. And now AI is saying it. AI is saying everything I said 10 years ago and 20 years ago. It took AI that long to figure out that the CRA is the bad guy. Core defense theme. Section 83 is not a rubber stamp. It is a conditional backstop that the CRA often applies as if it were automatic. And it's not automatic. They have to do their job properly, which they don't. And that's mainly due to laziness, low IQ, and the fact that they have been lied to. The CRA has been lied to, stating that they have what is called Crown immunity. And Crown immunity, all that means is if someone sues the CRA and they add you to that lawsuit, then the CRA will cover your legal bills, but not if you commit a crime. They're not covering anything if you actually commit a crime, if you violate the Criminal Code of Canada. All right, next. So then we have the, I can't read it because I've got all my timers in the way. Oh man, what does that slide say? All right, so anyway, we've got a crucial tax court decision where the appellate director partially won against the CRA. This is case law. 1 second, let me tell you who that is. Randy, who is that? That's number 6. Okay, I got it. Okay. Hirji versus the King. This is a gentleman named Hirjee versus the King in 2023. It's important case law, and we use this one all the time. So it's a crucial 2023 Tax Court of Canada decision where the appellant, so this Hirj guy, appealed the fact that the CRA put a whole bunch of tax liability onto him personally, which they, again, cannot do. So Aqid Habib Hirji was assessed under subsection 323.1 of the Excise Tax Act for unremitted HST or GST by a corporation that he had directed, which was called 1621844 Alberta Incorporated. The corporation owed $553,000 in unpaid GST. Most importantly, the appellant ceased to be the director on February 2nd of 2015 when the corporation was dissolved. Well, that makes sense. No corporation, no director. The CRA conceded that once Hirji ceased to be a director, he could not be held liable for tax liabilities arising after that date. So the key outcome was Hirji was found not liable for the 2015 quarterly reporting periods of March 31st. Would you call Andrew and tell him never to fucking call me again? Now, sorry, guys, we're getting phone calls from people who should not be calling me. And I do apologize for the profanity. I don't like being disturbed when I'm doing my show, all right, for obvious reasons. So Hirji was found not liable for the 2015 quarterly reporting periods of March 31st to June 30th, September 30th, and December 31st, 2015, totaling $179,000 in reduced assessment. He remained liable for the 2013 and 14 periods, totaling $374,000. So this is a partial victory. He did not have to pay the entire $500,000, but they still put him on the hook for $374,000 for one reason and for one reason only, and that is because he did not make the statement that he stepped down 2 years prior to that. So all he had to do was just make sure his paperwork was correct, and he did not do that. So he got held up for $374,000. The court established that the appellant is not liable for any amounts that the corporation was required to admit or pay after he ceased to be the director. So the critical legal principle here, everybody, is this case confirms that director personal liability is time limited. Once a director ceases their directorship, whether through voluntary resignation or corporate dissolution, they cannot be held personally liable for the corporation's subsequent tax failures, even if those failures relate to accounting periods when they were still a director. All right. So this director liability crap that so many of you are victims of doesn't even have to be a thing. It just doesn't. Why this matters? This establishes a clear pathway to limit director liability. How? If you are the director of a corporation, all of you step down now and make Bugs Bunny the director. Roger Rabbit, Ricky Ruckett, remember him? Roger Ramjet. Who else do we? Oh, the Powder Puff Girls. What were their names? Dumb and Dumber. One of them. Who cares? Pick a cartoon character. Speed Buggy, Scooby-Doo, Shaggy. Make them the director, everyone. Make sure you're not the director, and you're never going to have to waste your time in court doing any of this stuff. So, time to blow your mind. You can report on a director's resignation years after it happened. That's right. You want to hire me to absolutely kill your director's liability? And someone answered, Bloom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. Why do you know that? All right. So what I mean is, let's say that you are the director of a corporation and you just forgot that you stepped down 8 years ago. And now the CRA wants to hit you with GST or CPP or any kind of bill from a corporation that probably does not exist anymore. All you'd have to do is hire me, and I will go back through all the records, and I will absolutely get rid of that entire director's liability. And I mean, the whole thing is going to be gone. The whole thing. Now, here's the good part. The crimes they've committed. I made a phone call today to a very interesting individual. He's not a lawyer, but he readily defeats lawyers, and he and I have great legal conversations. So it turns out here that there is a threshold point for when a job becomes breaking the law. So when you skip from job, you leave job and you go to criminal. The CRA officials do not have criminal immunity. Once an official acts outside of statutory authority or uses coercion, threats, or abuse of power, or knows a liability does not legally exist, they lose protection under good faith execution of duties. And that is settled law. So now we're going to have some real fun, everyone. The letter I wrote you at the beginning, and to recap what this entire episode is inspired by. And that is the CRA froze the bank account of one of my clients, claiming the client owed over $670,000. The client has no idea where that number came from. Locked the bank account down and said, we will unlock the bank account if you sign this piece of paper that says you're going to take all of the corporate liabilities, all the corporate debt, and move it to you personally. And then we give you back your account. And if you don't sign this letter, we keep your money. Theft, fraud, extortion, let's cover it all. Because my client didn't know what to do and signed it, unfortunately. But that's okay. We're going to be pressing charges against Desiree Kelly, the CRA representative. And someone's telling me that I'm totally wrong, but I'm totally right. You absolutely cannot extort anyone, regardless of what your job is. And for those of you who are not really watching what's going on in the world, there are judges in Canada finally going to prison for breaking the law. There are judges being arrested all over the United States for doing this exact same thing. All right? The right wing is coming back. And the right wing really just means conservative fiscal behavior. That's what it means. We cannot have these judges and the CRA doing any of these illegal things to us anymore. So in one letter, let's read every single law this person broke. And Busy Bee, you're insulting me. Fine. But what am I wrong about? Exactly. You're telling me I'm wrong. But that doesn't mean a damn thing. So why don't you tell me what I got wrong there? And maybe I can bring you in here and then we can debate it. And you can tell all of us how you got your law training. I'd love to hear it. Thank you. So crime number 1, extortion. Criminal Code section 346, subsection 1. Everyone commits extortion who, without reasonable justification or excuse and with intent to obtain anything, induces or attempts to induce any person by threats, accusations, menaces, or violence to do anything. Whether it's money or give me your collector cards, give me your bubble gum, give me your car, doesn't matter what it is. How my fact pattern fits is that freezing a bank account is economic duress. Threatening continued deprivation is illegal. We've got conditioning release on signing a document that you don't want to sign, and threatening seizure of a home. You can't threaten that. You cannot threaten that. And this busy bee person says, oh, 41 degrees in law. So that might line up with my 41 years of now studying tax law. This could be good. You want to come in? I'll bring you in as soon as I'm going through all the laws your friends broke. All right. So this is all classic extortion, everybody. The penalty, ready for this, is life imprisonment. That's the maximum. On first offense, you probably get 2 or 3 years. The CRA is guilty in this case. And they're guilty in writing. It was their own letter that did this. The next law this person broke is criminal harassment, also known as intimidation. Section 264 of the Criminal Code. That causes a person to fear for their safety or repeated communication in a threatening or coercive manner. And why this applies is repeated calls after an account seizure to try to get paid, threats of losing housing, targeting vulnerable individuals. That's everyone who just doesn't know their rights, and using authority to instill fear, or even lying saying you have authority to instill fear. Up to 10 years in prison. Desiree Kelly of the CRA. You're a criminal. You proved it for us. I'm just telling everyone what you did, but you did it. Fraud. Criminal Code Section 380. Deceit, falsehood, and other fraudulent means. This includes abuse of power, causing deprivation. Applied to this case, knowing corporate taxes are not personally owed, inducing a belief that signing creates a lawful liability, which it does not, using that belief to seize assets. Penalty, if the value exceeds $5,000, is up to 14 years in prison. Woo! Busy Bee is not a lawyer, by the way, not an accountant. Oh, you're just a joker. Oh, get lost. Can someone block her? Well, breach of trust by a public officer. This is another one. Criminal Code Section 122. This is the most dangerous section for CRA officials. And this comes from not just me, but the other legal expert I dealt with. Man, we had a good time today. Woo. Acts in connection with their duties. So if a public officer commits an offense who acts in connection with their duties for a purpose other than the public good and abuses their position of trust. Coercing liability transfers to simply collection is not tax administration. It's breach of trust. It's 5 years in prison. Wow. Next law that Desiree Kelly broke in the same letter. Uttering threats. Criminal Code Section 264.1. Destruction. So if you're threatening destruction of property like a house, if you threaten financial ruin, if you continue to deprive someone of the means to live, the penalty is up to 5 years. 5 years in prison for uttering threats. Got to be careful with that too in Canada. How about this one? Number 9, false pretense or personation, which is, it's contextual here. It's Criminal Code Section 361 and Section 403. If an official of the CRA or loser of the CRA represents that they have authority they do not have or misrepresents legal consequences knowingly, this can apply in conjunction with fraud and will get you a couple of extra years in the slammer. So I really hope Canada Revenue Agency, and I know you're watching, but I hope you're watching, and I hope you're taking all of this in one letter. This is how many crimes that you committed. By the way, everybody, a lot of you are asking me if I have this list of laws broken. I have already made 22 videos on TikTok called Crimes the CRA Commit Daily. There's 22. And for whatever the reason, they've got low traffic. Some of my videos are 250,000 views, and these ones are less than 5,000. So I need all of you watching after I'm done talking here to go to TikTok and watch all 22. They're short videos. They're like two and a half minutes roughly, but I cover all of the laws the CRA break. So now what we got to cover here is your charter violations as well. Your charter violations, these are not criminal, but very critical to your human rights as a Canadian. While not criminal code offenses, these all destroy the CRA's position. Section 7 of the charter, life, liberty, security of the person, economic coercion qualifies there. Then Section 8, unreasonable seizure. You cannot just seize someone's property because you feel like it. You just can't do it. Section 11D, the presumption of innocence. Right. So the CRA accuses you of being guilty and then tells you that you must prove your innocence. That ain't how it works. It does not work that way. You are innocent until proven guilty. And remember, if you want to stay innocent, just stop talking to the CRA. Exercise your right to remain silent. Then we have Section 24(1), personal remedies against state actors. You can sue the government. You can file criminal charges against anybody who works for the government in any position, including cops. You can do these things. All of you can. You've got the power to do it. Charter breaches are often the gateway to proving Section 122, breach of trust, the crime of breach of trust. And finally, we got our last slide here, everybody. Why, ready for this? Why they made me sign does not protect the CRA. And the CRA forces you to sign these letters. It's called duress. And why? It doesn't work for them. Canadian law is absolute on this point. Anything signed under duress is void. Using it anyway creates a liability for you. So I can't, put my arm around your neck, and the hand and choke you until you sign a contract to turn over your house to me for $0. Assault, attempted murder, assault causing bodily harm, extortion, theft, fraud. It just adds up. If I was to choke you and get you to give me your house, I'm probably facing 25 years, just like that. I cannot force you to do anything under threat of anything, period. Then the strategic reality is, everybody, the CRA cannot legally compel a person to take on the assumption of corporate tax debt. There is no threat the CRA is legally allowed to make that would state that you must sign a letter and that you must do what they say. There's so many of you out there that say this stupid crap to me all the time. It's the government. You have to do it. If you were to say that to me and then proceed to take my money and give it to the government, you might wake up 5 days later. All right. I don't have to do anything the government says, and neither do you. The government is not paying you to do a job for them. You're not in a contract with the government. The government says you don't do. The government harasses, take them to court, file charges. There's no statutory mechanism allowing a shortcut for the CRA to just take your money. And the only lawful route is by the CRA. They must assess. You can then object to it. Then you can take them to court. Then there's a judgment either for you or against you. Then you can appeal that judgment. And if you lose that, then you can go to the Superior Court of Canada. That's going to be like 5-6 years that you don't even owe tax, because Clause 7 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights indicates clearly that you do not owe any tax dollars while any of this is in dispute. Anything at all. Think about that, everybody. This is why I am the #1 tax expert in the country. I am not afraid of anything the government has to say or do. The Canadian government's done everything it possibly can to harm me by hiring thugs to assault me and steal my stuff and to stab me, literally to stab me. That's what the Canadian government's done, all in an effort to get me to stop talking about their lack of power and all the rights that you have. The Canadian government does not want me educating you. Too effing bad. That's just how it is, folks. Too bad. I'm going to educate each and every one of you out there because I want each and every one of you out there to just not pay tax anymore. And all of you may or may not remember this, but I was a wartime journalist. That is correct. I've been to war zones in Africa and in Asia. And I can tell you, the Canadian government is funding wars all over the place. There are millions now, not tens of thousands, but millions of people being slaughtered with weapons, guns, swords, and knives, paid for by the Canadian government, but paid for by you because all of you are the ones paying the tax. They're just taking it and giving it to warlords all around the world so they can have some type of a favorable decision made towards them when these war zones inevitably find oil. And that's what this is all about, folks. It's all about money. Canadian government grabs your money, gives it to warlords. Warlords kill. Then the Canadian government makes deals with corporations to get government money put into oil wells or to diamond mines, gold mines, copper mines, nickel, cadmium mines, whatever it might be. It's all about the money. Don't fool yourself. Canada is every bit as evil as every other country in the world. Horrendously so, but the Canadian populace thinks that because they had it good for 7 straight decades, that no, it's a great country and we don't do anything wrong. Believe me, I've been to these war zones. I came back with footage that would make you cry. It took me 7 years to be able to talk about these things and not tear up. 7 years it took me to get these images out of my head when I was in the war zone of all these dead people that Canadians don't even know were murdered in the name of Canada. I filmed all that. And I got arrested for it when I came back to Canada, and I got threatened with 5 years of prison time if I did not turn over my flashcards of the war zone to the Canadian government, and I said no. And they threw me out of their courtroom. By the way, the judge was not wearing a gown. So if you ever find yourself like me in a courtroom where some judge is wearing a suit or a jacket or a shirt, he doesn't have his gown on, he doesn't have his red sash on, court's not officially in session. You don't even have to acknowledge him. I just kept saying no, and they eventually got angry with me and threw me out. There we go. So everybody, the Canada Revenue Agency, I just proved it to you. They have no authority of any kind. And I want each and every one of you out there to please stop fearing these people. They're not coming to your house. They don't carry guns. None of them know how to fight. Most of them have an IQ of less than 72. They come from places on the map you've never heard of. They don't know our culture. They do not understand the nuance of language. And they all believe that they've got power because A, they've been told so by their bosses, but B, because all of you cry and get defensive on the phone. As soon as they detect that you are feeling fear, they're going to go right for the threats. All of you out there should have recorders on your phone. I mean, we don't live in decent times anymore, people. We don't live in times where people would come to your house just because they like you. Everyone's coming over to your house to stake the place out, see what they can steal, or see what clout they can get by filming your stuff and putting it online. The CRA is not calling you because they want to help you. They're calling you because they want money. If you scream and yell and you make all kinds of really harsh, racist remarks, they stop calling. I've proven this already. And my book is going to be out shortly, folks, where I'm going to show you just how well my policies work. I am vile on the phone, and I'm worse in person, but as a last effort, not as a first effort. I would always prefer to be professional and polite, use the King's English when dealing with these folks, but when that fails, I have to go to vile. And I will go to vile. And for those who are, okay, we're at the Q&A point now, folks. So for those out there who are wondering, will they freeze your bank account? The Canada Revenue Agency does not freeze your bank account. They send a requirement to pay letter, which is not even legally enforceable, to your bank. And your bank says, oh, look, we got a letter. Let's steal our client's money and give it to the CRA. The CRA utilizes the Department of Justice to supply them lawyers. And in most cases, these lawyers are kids, fresh out of law school. And I make them cry because I can't stand lawyers. And I am vile and vicious when I am dealing with lawyers, especially in court or in tribunals or in hearings. And the last time I dealt with one of these kids, 26-year-old girl, fresh out of college, was representing the CRA in court against me. Yeah, she left the room crying. You can't handle me. You DOJ lawyers, they're all DEI hires, losers, idiots. And let me tell you this, and this is not me being sexist and not me being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk, but women do not frighten me at all. It is impossible for a woman to terrify me with anything. Not big words, not threats, not raising their voice, not looks, nothing at all. So what happens here, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, has never sent a male lawyer out against me. Not once. It's been about 40 different women, and it's all been DEI hires. Some of them don't speak English. So really, what now? What now for the DOJ? The Department of Justice has these absolutely worthless lawyers, but the banks are still afraid of them. The banks won't sick their $400 per hour tough guys on these girls. And that bothers me. It bothers me that banks who have $500 per hour lawyers, $600,000 per hour lawyers, will not go on the attack against these 20-year-old girls that the DOJ hires. Guys, it's just statistics here. It's stats. Do any of you out there think that a grade 6 student getting into a boxing ring with a guy who's 24 and works out every day is going to win that fight? That's what the DOJ does. They're sending little kids out to deal with real cases here. All right, here's a question. I guess you don't believe in pay it forward. That was a selfish reply. Typical lib lawyer. Are you talking to me or someone else? Okay. Spike says, so you're a big man, huh? Okay, Spike, that's kind of a silly thing to say, don't you think? It's a matter of, if you have nothing to threaten me with, what am I going to be afraid of? Like, Spike, right now, you have nothing to threaten me with. So would you expect me to fear you? Now, Spike, if you were over here with a mean look in your eye and maybe some dog bites on your face and you're bleeding out and it looks like you're high on crystal meth and you had a gun pointed at me, I would fear that. You're not in your right mind. I don't know you and you don't know me. We both know we don't know each other, and you're pointing a weapon at me with death in your eyes. That's something to be concerned about. But the DOJ lawyers are not. All right. So we're doing all the Q&A now. Just let me shoot over to YouTube and check out the YouTube's questions here. Hello, Lisa. Thanks for being here. Cat Condo, do you recommend any wealth books to help us when our crypto orders come in? What about trusts for Canadians? Trusts are great, folks, but you don't need them unless you've got multiple properties and lots of cars and lots of money and lots of gold and silver and so on. A numbered corporation owning what you have will suffice. It will suffice. Trusts are about, $40,000, $50,000 to get started. A numbered corporation is less than $2,000. So I would much rather see you spend the smaller amount to have the same level of protection. Master 73, I have a letter warning for $25,000 in HST, and they're trying to force you to pay. So Master 73, get over to my website right now, kevinjjohnston.com. My name, kevinjjohnston.com. Use the contact form and get me a copy of that letter, please. Make sure you have all your contact info there. Thank you. I'd very much like to read that. User 12, I just had all my bank accounts frozen and money taken in one day, gone. How do I pay you for a consult? Interesting question. You know what you do? Talk to Randy. He's standing by right now. Randy's with me in the room right now. Jump on the form. Tell Randy what's going on. Let's see what we can do. Okay. It's this one over here. Sorry. Sarah Lee? Sarah Lee Rexy. Could you please rephrase that question? I don't fully understand it. Thank you. Great question here. Nod Narb. Do you put on courses? Yeah, we're going to start doing courses. Most likely down here in Panama. There's a lot of folks that want to learn how to do this. So they want to come down and see me in person. I have clients that pop down here all the time to talk about these things. But yeah, I would actually love to get training courses done because I'd like to have a much bigger army of individuals who think just like me and do the types of things that I do to make sure the CRA gets nothing. Do you give advice for those who want to leave the country permanently? Yes, I actually got great advice for that one. First question, what the hell are you waiting for? Secondly, if you're going to leave the country, don't announce it. Just go. The biggest mistake that everyone makes when they leave the country is they start to panic. Oh, I got to leave the country. My plane leaves in 6 weeks. I don't have enough time to get. Don't have enough time to do what? You have all the time in the world. If you're going to leave the country permanently, then you want to make sure that you get everything up to date in the way of your taxes. Hire me to be your tax guy. I'll make sure you owe $0. If your house is in your personal name, we should move that into a numbered corporation. And hopefully you've got someone you trust who can do the collection of rent. Typically, if you do collection of rent through electronic means, everything is okay. You know, you want to keep your health card intact. So if you make the big announcement, I'm leaving the country, they won't cancel your health cards, but they'll put them into expired mode so you won't be able to use them unless you reapply. So don't hurt yourself. And if you do announce you're leaving, the CRA is going to make an assumption that you owe, and they're just going to throw a big tax bill at you that they believe that you're going to pay because you're not going to have time to fix it before your plane leaves. So shut up. Be silent about your plans. Do not tell people your plans. In fact, don't tell your friends either. Get on a plane and go. Just go. Have fun. Life is short. And what I'll tell you is this, your friends change in life. I've got so-called friends in Canada that I don't talk to anymore. There's nothing in common anymore. I haven't been inside that country for 2 years and 3 months. What else? What would I be talking to individuals about where I don't live anymore? It's easy to have a conversation with a friend or a colleague when you both live in the same region. I live in a new country with a completely new culture, different currency, very different politics, better technology, better subway system, better food, prettier women. It's just, in general, it's a better and different place. So I cannot really converse about my hometown of Mississauga. Or, what would I ask you? All right. I haven't been in Vancouver for like 5 years. So, hi, John. How are you? How's the drug problem in Vancouver? How many used needles have you stepped on? How's your mama? Okay, bye. I've got a lot in common with my new friends down here in Panama because they're Panamanian. I'm Panamanian now. And we all live in the same vicinity. And we all go to the same places and we all think the same way. And of course, we all obviously speak the same language. So friends change, guys. That's just how it is. Friends change. And you'll find in many cases, which I did when I left, that these so-called friends I had, they weren't my friends. They were a drain. They were draining me mentally, emotionally, whatever you want to call it. It was very difficult to continue to try to get some kind of a business fired up in the province of Ontario when so many people were broke and looking for free advice all the time. And everyone that I know, they had problems all the time. Problems. It's difficult. I don't want to be around that. Whereas I come to Panama and the same problems that Canadians believe they have don't exist here because in other countries and within other cultures, people will actually just see things differently and care about a lot less than what you would care about and party more. Panama parties hardy, man. They really do. My advice, don't make the grandiose announcement. Just go. Oh, last thing. Nobody on the planet wants Canadian dollars. No country on the planet wants Canadian dollars. You can't even exchange Canadian anymore in Nicaragua and Panama. They don't want it. It's junk. Canadian money is junk. It's toilet paper. USD. Everywhere. How can you do the taxes if you don't have all the papers? In Canada, it's legal to estimate your earnings and estimate your expenses. Completely legal. That's how that works. 100% legal to estimate. 1179. If I file bankruptcy and I have a balance of $35K as corporation income tax, will this come on my, I guess, your credit score? If you're going bankrupt, everybody, you got to keep in mind that corporate bankruptcies in Canada are very difficult and they rarely work, the way you want them to. There's always going to be an objection. And if you owe the CRA money, they're absolutely going to object. That's just how the CRA does things. So what we want to do, everyone, is just get you, if you have corporate debt, to sell the corporation to me. Let me take it over from you so you don't have to worry about it. Then you don't have to go bankrupt. Michael Nick. I can help you host courses if I do it for some advice. Michael, what do you got in mind? Contact me through my website, please. I'm always interested in proposals. I like making deals. Johnny Blade. Hey, Big John here. Glad to see you in the ring. John, my God, how's Edmonton doing? How's Edmonton treating you this fine winter? It's been a while, brother. I hope you're well. Tracy, my parents have asked me to be the executor of their will. Any advice? Yes. Put their house into a numbered corporation now. Make yourself about, let's say, 30-40% shareholder. So when they die, you get the shares. No land transfer tax, no probate, no nothing. Put all their vehicles and all their personal effects into a separate corporation. Again, same rules apply. Bank accounts, instead of them filling up their personal bank accounts, have them move money into their actual corporate account instead, with you as a shareholder. They die, you get the corporation, ergo you get the money. Oh, the biggest one. If you are asked to be the executor of a will, please shut up about the death in the family. Don't post it on social media. Don't even call your friends. Tell nobody your loved one is dead until you've closed up the entire estate. You do not tell the CRA until at least 3 years after the deceased has died. Then you're going to be safe. Okay. Section 160 has no time frame. Let me have a quick look at the wording on Section 160 for you. Are you talking Income Tax Act? Having a look right now. Section 160 of the Income Tax Act says, for the purposes of this act, representative assessee, 1, in respect to the income of a non-resident. Okay, I don't think I'm reading the correct one. Oh, God, that's hilarious. I was reading the Indian Income Tax Act. Listen to this. In respect of the income of a minor, lunatic, or idiot, the guardian or manager who is entitled to receive or is in receipt of such income on behalf of such minor, lunatic, or idiot. Like that's I swear to you, that's clause 160 of the India Tax Act. I found that by accident. Can you get me the wording, please, for clause 160 of the Canadian Income Tax Act? All right. If you are a newcomer to Canada, the only time you have to report anything to the government is if you're on a T4, a T4A, or a T5. Don't waste your time with the CRA. They are just a complete and total waste of time. Anybody who wants to hire me, just head over to kevinjjohnston.com. My name, kevinjjohnston.com. And for those who don't believe me, it's Section 160 of the India Tax Act. It actually does say lunatic or idiot. It literally says that. Anybody who wants to get an answer, get on my website right away, please. Just use the contact form if you could. kevinjjohnston.com. Okay, we got some questions in Rumble. Sugar Mama. Question. Manitoba TerraNet said adding a name to a title is still a transfer subject to land transfer tax. Not as easy as you've said here. No, TerraNet's full of crap. They write whatever they want. TerraNet is a private corporation. They have no say over what you do. TerraNet is an awful institution that only does electronic deeds for Ontario and for Manitoba. Who cares what they say? It doesn't matter. Who cares what private companies say? They're not the law. TerraNet is not government. They're private. All right, row me away. Question. What is the first step to take CRA to court? How much does it cost? If you're suing them in the Superior Court, you can't use small claims. If you're suing them in the Superior Court, Supreme Court, or Court of King's bench, then you would be paying somewhere between $250 and $350 to register it. You want to get it served, do it yourself for free. You can ship to the CRA, which is about $40 overnight, or you can hire a process server to track down the individual and have them served there. But the next step is going to be who represents you in court. Are you going to go self-rep? Are you going to work with a guy like myself who is a legal agent? You'd have to decide that before taking them to court. I self-rep because I know the law. I know a lot of you don't. And in some provinces, the judge just does not let me represent, which is highly unfortunate. All right. Devin Copitier, McKinney versus University of Guelph. The Crown has no power to legally control a private corporation. That is correct. Private corporations cannot be dictated to by some loser Crown attorney or some loser who works for the government. David Copitier, has anyone read the Canada Revenue Agency Act yet? They have authority over internal taxes. Their corporate lies apply only to them. Correct. And that, you know what? That would be a good show. A summarizing of the entire CRA Act. That would be wild. All right, next question here. Tuzo, do you provide the service of helping people set up a corporation in different countries to hold different assets? Yes, Panama. $5,000 gets you a corporation and a bank account where the corporation will be opened before you even come to the country and then transferred to you. So I can ship the documentation to you wherever you are in the world, have you sign it, and then ship it back. Thank you. Or we have you fly down here, meet with me and my lawyer in person, sign everything here, and you're good to go. Sugar Mama says, how do I add my name to a title if TerraNet won't do it for me? Well, TerraNet is a weird institution in that every single lawyer out there who has a license in the province has access to TerraNet. You would pay that guy $1,500 and he'll just do it. They'll just do it. That's how that works. Next question here. Back to YouTube. Now, for those who are wondering, no, do not waste your time telling the government that you're leaving Canada. Just go. Just go. Live life. Who cares? Nodenarm, I wish you were still in Rocky Mountain House. I actually didn't live there, but I visited there all the time. My sister had a nice big 40-foot trailer, and then during all that pandemic nonsense, the RCMP decided to come by. I wasn't there, but the RCMP went to her place and had their hands on their guns, wanting to have a conversation with me. And they never told me what it was. There was no warrant for my arrest. They just thought that they would intimidate my family and made sure they had their hands on their guns. And my niece at the time was 9 years old. Yeah, just trash. Canadian cops, you guys can rot, man. I have no use for you at all. OMBC, Mississauga misses you. Man, well, I can't say there are some people in Mississauga that I miss, but I do not miss Mississauga at all. Oh my God. No, I am not married, everybody. That is every show for the last year. Tony, the gentleman you mentioned, works for me. If a corporation has 20K in HST debt, can you help get rid of this? Yes. I buy the company. I take all the debt from you. Head over to my website. If you type in this one, kevinjjohnston.biz, it'll go to one page on my website, and that is where you fill out the form to sell me your corporation. Be honest about the debt you have, because I want to take all the debt the same day that we take the corporation over. All right. How do I get my RRSP and pension if I leave the country? Okay, there's a good question. You would let me know 2 months in advance you're taking out your RRSP. Then we're going to get you to take it out, and you're going to pay a large amount of tax on it. But then I'm going to get that tax money back for you in the following year. And you would then put all that money that I get you back into a numbered corporation, get yourself a prepaid Visa card. Let me just block the number there. Just get a prepaid Visa card and live your entire life off of what you get. And if you don't tell the government that you're leaving the country on some kind of quasi-permanent basis, then you're going to keep getting your pension. You're going to be just fine. Shush. Be quiet. Stop talking about the cool things you do in life. Like, doesn't anybody have any secrets anymore? It's amazing. Everyone takes photographs of the meal they're about to eat and what they left behind in the toilet afterwards. They take pictures of that thing that they saw the second they saw it, and then they have to comment on it. And for some reason, when all of you get photographs sent to you, you have to comment as well. I don't comment on that nonsense. I'm not taking pictures of my meals. I'm certainly not taking pictures of my toilet. It's weird. So just all of you, stop showing off. Nobody really cares. People pretend to be interested. They're not. And the CRA does not pretend to be interested. They are. It's the exact opposite. So the more of this stuff that you show to people, especially on social media, the more attention you're going to have from the CRA. They can't do anything. The CRA is not coming to Panama with guns to make me pay tax. I promise you that. But still, I'm asking all of you, I'm a public figure that they are afraid of. You're not a public figure. Don't be a public figure if you're a Canadian. It's a pain in the ass. But don't help them find out information about you. That's what I'm saying. So start living more private lives. Cold, is it Mesa-Q? If you estimate and they audit, can't they just ask for your bank statement? Anybody can ask for anything they want, and you have the right to tell everybody who asks anything to go straight to hell. You do not have to answer questions. When the CRA says, send us paperwork, I typically take that paper and I pick up dog crap with it and I mail that in. There you go. That's my answer. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not going to allow you to audit me. I do not care what your opinion is on how much I make or how much I don't make. I do not care about you. I don't care about the CRA. I do not care about the Canadian government. I do not care about the Income Tax Act or the statutes or any of the other nonsense that you claim to be laws. I do not care about your policies. I do not care about your jobs. I don't care about anything to do with the Canadian government, period. And I will not cooperate with any branch of the Canadian government, period. And I highly recommend that all of you do the same. Exercise your right to remain silent. Don't tell the CRA anything except to leave you alone. And if they don't, call the police. All right. So Poor Jat is coming to say hello in Panama. That'd be cool. Shaliba, do you have expertise in obligation to report foreign income? Oh, yeah, you don't. You have no obligation to tell the CRA what you make outside the country. If you have property in the States, Panama, Costa Rica, Russia, it doesn't matter where it is. Shut up. Stop talking. No, you don't tell them that. You got 25 bank accounts all over the United States? Shut up. Don't tell them that. You have a part-time job in another country where you've got a visa to work? Don't tell them that either. Be silent about it. There's no way they're going to find out, first off. and you're not obligated to tell them this stuff. Exercise your right to remain silent. Oh, you moved to Saskatchewan, Big John. Why? Well, that one doesn't make sense, but cool. Hope you're happy. $1 million dreams. Can they file a $0 tax return on the person who died? Will the CRA ask questions? CRA, whenever you announce someone's dead, they always ask questions. You have to be tough and strong and tell them to go F themselves. Don't call me again. You'll get my report when I'm good and ready to give it to you. That's it. But don't tell the CRA the person's dead. Please don't tell them that. And whenever you're dealing with death, this is the part that drives me mental. Would you please take 3 days to mourn? Remember that movie Troy with Brad Pitt? And he killed the king's son of Troy and then made a deal with the king that the Troy soldiers would not attack the city for 3 days. That was a battle code. That was a real thing. That was a battle code. If the king's children or the king's anybody was killed in battle, there would be a 3-day reprieve on fighting for grief. Grieve in silence. Tell no one about these things, especially not the CRA. If you withdraw crypto to a bank account, do you need to file? F no, absolutely not. Why would you do that? No. Why would you do that? No, absolutely not. You don't do that, period. Just like you don't talk about your bra size. If someone rings your doorbell asking what it is, no. The answer is no. Get lost. We're not answering these questions. Good question. Brexit. Why do you say a consumer proposal is a bad idea? Because it's a lot of work and you got to go through a trustee. The trustee does not work for you. The trustee works for all of your creditors. If you were to tell the trustee, you might think the trustee is a lawyer. They're not. They're a scumbag. They report to the CRA. So if you told the trustee, oh, I'm in a great mood. I went to the horse track last night and I bet everything on Jezebel the horse and I won. They'll get on the phone. Just pick up the phone. Hey, CRA. Yeah, he won at the horse track. You don't tell them anything. Trustees hurt you. They don't help you. That's number one. And number two is your credit score still suffers. Your credit score is still awful. And you still owe the money. What's the point of making a deal if you still owe the money and your credit is screwed? It's dumb. No, please don't do consumer proposals. Everyone who does them regrets them. They don't work. Canada, United States, and in Australia, they just don't work. Don't do it. By the way, everybody, this number is a bit too small. Don't you think? Let's get everyone double fingers. Come on, double fingers. Do. It's free to do. Let's light it up. Let's get that to 70,000 views tonight. We need TikTok to spread this out. We need Instagram to spread everything out, everyone. This message is important. I'm the only one telling the truth about the ATO and the CRA. And for my American friends, I have something new I can do for you. I can actually get rid of your criminal charges now. Yeah, I have made a deal with a law firm, not in a crazy state, but in a good state. This is something new that I'm offering starting April the 1st. I've been busy, everybody. I've been very busy, and I'm having the time of my life being busy. There's lots to go over, lots to do, and lots of ways I can help make your life better. Which provinces can I not represent in? Well, anybody can represent anyone. The judges in Alberta are the ones that are the worst for that. What you have to do is not say that you're a lawyer. You say that you are a Mackenzie friend. And then as a Mackenzie friend, you can do all of the talking on behalf of your friend. There we are. All right. Let me just check the Rumble room right now. All right. All right. Good question. Tuzo. If you just leave Canada without declaring yourself a tax non-resident, do you need to keep filing tax returns to collect CPP, OAS, etc.? Would you just leave income earned abroad? No. Okay. Good question. If you're leaving the country, then what I would do on your tax return is put you down somewhere around $5,000 of earnings. And that way your CPP, your OAS, whatever you're getting paid continues to come in. Yeah, that's what I would do. And the best part about that is, so long as we both believe that you made $5,000 in some way, shape, or form, we report it. Because remember, everything you put on a Canadian tax return is absolutely voluntary. You voluntarily can disclose all your income, or some of your income, or none of your income. Voluntary. The CRA, the ATO, they all work within civil law, not criminal law. They are not cops. They're just losers. Now, we had a question there about deemed. There we go. Laney Buffuse, could you explain deemed disposition? I can. Now, I'm going to read directly from the website here for you. Deemed disposition in Canada refers to the tax rule where individuals who cease to be residents are considered to have disposed of certain properties at their fair market value when they leave, even if they still owe them. This can affect capital gains and taxes and requires specific forms to be filled with the Canada Revenue Agency. That's the exit tax. There actually is no exit tax. You don't say, hi, CRA, I'm leaving, and you get a bill. That's not how it works. But they will do this to you. They will say, okay, you owned a house and you owned a car, and we believe that you sold it. We can't prove it, but we're going to go ahead and just tax you on the sale of it anyway. Remember how I said, shut up, stop talking, just go, just leave, and then come back whenever you want. Doesn't matter. Don't put yourself in the position where the CRA is going to tax you heavily. Please remain silent. Charlie, thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. Yeah, Super Daddy, sometimes bankruptcy works out for people, but if it's corporate debt, it almost never does, unfortunately. All right, let's check your questions. All right, Cold McHugh, they will just request it from your bank statements. The banks will give it to them. Yeah, and you can sue the bank for breach of privacy. They will give up your statements. But who cares? It doesn't matter that the bank gives your statements over because they still have to question you on that to get any information at all. And what are you going to do? Tell them to go F themselves and sue the bank. All right? That's how you do it. I find it strange you studied for so many years and don't know what Section 160 gives the CRA power. The CRA is a collection agency that uses the Income Tax Act, the GST Act, and the Excise Tax Act to threaten people. That's it. That's all they are. I mean, philosophically speaking, they're just bullies. And the Income Tax Act, Section 160, does not give them power. It gives them a set of rules to follow. We don't have to follow Section 160. That's the problem with 160 for the CRA. It does not pertain to me, and it doesn't pertain to any of you who do not work for the CRA. Ks, they will just garnish your wage. At that point, you sue your employer and charge your employer with theft. Yeah, because your employer is a coward and your employer is a scumbag. Wages are not garnished by the CRA. The CRA does not go to your boss's office and write checks to themselves. They send a requirement to pay letter to your boss where they say, if you don't give us this guy's money, we may hold you liable for it. Not we will. We may hold you liable for it. Fraud, uttering threats, extortion. No. If they send me one of those, I'm going to show you what kind of a reply they get. There's going to be some profanity in it, probably some nude pictures of the individual representative, and an absolute challenge telling them, I will not give you anything. Bring it. Now what? I'm calling their bluff. And every time I call their bluff, what happens? They run. So, K's, they don't garnish your wage. Your employer does. Sue your employer. Canola Girl, they're threatening with letters. Time is crunching. Oh, time is never crunching. Everyone says, I got a deadline. I got to do this by June 3rd. That's just crap. Do you really think that the CRA guy who spits that letter out, it's an automatic letter, by the way, is sitting there with a stopwatch? I sent a letter to John Smith, and he has 18 more minutes to fill this out and get me what I want. You really think they do that? No, they'll send another threat letter out. Relax. Think the answer through, and after it's been thought through, that's when we send the answer off to the CRA. Exchanges send your crypto amounts to CRA. Well, Canadian ones do. That's true. But if they do submit them over, who's to say that that's a profit? All right, what happens? What if, hear me out, what if the CRA knew that you had crypto and they say, well, we think you got a capital gain? You say, yeah, I didn't know much about crypto. And even though Bitcoin is worth $109,000 today, Canadian, I bought it for $700,000 a coin. So that's a capital loss. Report the capital loss. Who's to say you didn't? How would anyone know what you pay for anything? I bought a pair of socks today. Would any of you out there like to wager a guess as to what I paid for those socks? First off, it really is none of your business. But would you know? What color are they? What store did I buy them in? Who's the manufacturer? Did they come in by truck, plane, or boat? Do I like them? Do I wear them in my sandals? Do I wear them in my shoes? You don't know any of this. And I'm not telling. I'm exercising my right to remain silent about my socks. All right? Do the same. How do you get cash to Panama? We have a system here where you buy gold certificates from us. You come down here, and then those certificates get sold right back to us, and we give you back the cash. I can move, ready for this, guys? I can move $20 million a day from you to Panama right now. Get a hold of me on my website, please. What are my thoughts on the CRA freezing bank accounts? Again, the CRA does not freeze them. The CRA asks the bank to do it, and the banks just go ahead and do it voluntarily. They're not legally obligated to do so. There's no punishment if they don't, but they still do it because Canada is all about cowardice, which I hate, but it's absolutely true. Mama Kerr, I have 2 properties in Canada, one being primary, one second being a rental. How do I avoid capital gains? We transfer both houses into 2 separate numbered corporations. We have a really good share structure written for that. So when you die, your shares will default to your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your kids, your dog, whoever it might be. All that gets set up that particular way. And when it comes time to sell the house, you got 2 choices. One, sell the corporation and the house goes with it. 2, if the person's a dumbass and doesn't understand that, sell them the house, but you tell them that they're going to cover all the legal fees to sell the house. And then you turn around and sell me that corporation, to which I would do the taxes between 3 and 8 years later. No capital gain until I decide to tell them that there was, if I do it all. But you will not have the liability on that. You want to make sure that houses are not in your name, not now and not ever. Okay. By the way, we got 129 people watching, but only 32,000 likes. Come on, guys. Double fingers. Let's get them rocking. Double fingers. Everybody. Same thing over here and same thing over here, everyone. Get the fingers moving, please. It really does help when you like and when you share. Why am I always angry? Do I look angry to all of you? Passion. I'm passionate about what I do. I believe in what I do. I love what I do. It's called passion. And there are a lot of oh, look at the pirate hat, man. You got to shake your head and get coins. Look at that. Woo! Thank you for that. I appreciate it. When someone's passionate, it can be misconstrued as anger. But I'm hyper focused on what I do. When I do these shows, typically I've been awake for 18 hours before the show even starts. So you see me yawning once in a while, but I'm still laser focused on the information I am providing. No, it's called passion. It's not called anger. Period. Mama says, your employer reports your income to the CRA. Yes, they do. And that's dumb because it ends up costing them a lot more than just putting you onto contract. It's true. Your employer should not have you on a T4. There's no advantage to a corporation to put you on a T4 at all. In fact, there's no advantage to collecting taxes for the CRA at all. It doesn't benefit you in any way. Top C, if I put my property in Ontario into a corporation, but I live in Quebec, how do I avoid Quebec welcoming tax triggering QC? Well, Quebec welcoming tax is when you buy a property in Quebec or you establish yourself with a Quebec address. Don't do that. In Quebec, have a property, but don't put your driver's license there. And for God's sakes, do not get a Quebec driver's license. You can live in Quebec, just shut up about it. Don't tell anyone, especially Revenu Québec, because they are worse than Hitler ever was. What's the alternative to consumer proposal for personal tax debt? Negotiation. I redo your taxes and I set them all to 0. If you've got personal HST numbers, you probably have not written everything off. I can get you some money back. If you have a corporation with an HST or GST number, I'm sure you did not do all your write-offs. I can get you some money back there too. It's all a matter of, have you done your taxes correctly? Excuse me. And if you haven't, I fixed that. Thank you, Charlize. I really appreciate the hearts. Appreciate that very much. Oh, someone was asking me over here. I made a video yesterday about the fact that I have $600 million in capital losses. Yeah. And I'm willing to sell those to anyone. So, for example, if you got, hey, look at the cake. All right. Thank you. All right. If you've got a capital gain, let's say they want to state to you that your capital gain is $1 million. $1 million. You could come to me and I can take my capital loss, take $100 or $1 million out of that $600 million and put it towards you. Yeah, it's legal. My lawyers cleared this for me. It's legal for me to transfer some of my capital loss to you. All right, look at the cake. Ooh, now I want cake. So, yeah, everyone's doing the stuff on TikTok here. The gifts, thank you. Really appreciate that. All right, capital. If you guys, who's got a capital gain? I got capital losses for you. Get a hold of me. Checking out more questions. More questions. More questions. Okay, just down here in YouTube and in email. Rick, I'm not answering that question. It's none of your business, dude. You don't need to know anything about my family, okay? None of your business. And don't email me again. That's just ridiculous. Next. PJ 1962. I've learned so much in this show. I finally have zero fear of these public servants. That's really who they are. A bunch of clowns who claim alleged power. That is awesome. I know that is the stuff I love to hear, everyone. Got someone else who's no longer afraid of the CRA because they now know their rights. Wow. Thank you for saying that. Greatly appreciate it. All righty. Next. Let's check more of your questions here. How should I sell my friend? Sorry. How should my friend sell his gold? Oh, man. Oh, well, I'll take it. I buy gold, I buy silver, I buy copper that's pressed in the coins, I buy palladium, platinum, and cash. We'll take cash too. Sell it to me. My dad died, gifted me a house with $50,000 mortgage left. Now, what do I have to say for my mom's time? I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't quite understand the question. Could you rephrase it, please? I bought 3,000 in crypto. You're going to put it down as a corporate withdrawal in my books. Yeah. All right. A corporate withdrawal, just to explain what that means. If you, let's say, put 10 million bucks into a corporation 20 years ago and the corporation succeeds, and then you decide, I want my 10 million bucks back, you can withdraw the 10 million tax free. True story. Nod Narb. Would they not get punishment if you deposited via special deposit? I'm sorry. Could you rephrase that question, please? I didn't quite understand that. The Willow Tree. If someone has a part-time job and they want to use a T form to offset extra taxes, do I need to show receipts? Not until they ask. And typically, depending on the auditor, we always get it so that when they do ask for what they call a desk audit, they want to see paperwork. If it gets rid of the auditor faster, then we will agree to show them the 3 biggest expenses and the 3 biggest sales. That's what we do, and the audit is over. Robbie, the CRA is never coming to your house to pick you up for prison, and the cops are not coming to your house to arrest you for owing taxes. That's not how it works. I have a new client for you. He paid $60,000 in taxes this past year. Told him about you. Thank you very much. Make sure he quotes your name, please. What is the alternative of a birth certificate for my son? Okay, that's a tough one. I know where a lot of people are going with this. There are private companies that I know of. One of them is called WOOF, W-O-O-F. In 2 years, WOOF is going to have blockchain digital identification for people that the governments cannot control. The birth certificate is what you pretty much need so that you can declare your child a Canadian citizen. There still is an advantage to having Canadian citizenship. Although I hate the country. Sorry, that's not true. I love the landmass, which is beautiful. I hate the politics and I hate the left wing, but it's something that you do want to do. There's no alternative right now. Please do not go the route of the free men on the land. It's not going to help you. It really is not. NIC, I want you to be my tax guy after listening to you. Thank you. Hit my website, sign up, and I'm in. And don't forget, hey, everyone, don't forget, I actually forgot to mention this myself, so I'm telling you not to forget, but I forgot. All right, where are we here? There's an advertisement I have to show you. And it's not there. Hold on, I got to load the advertisement up. 1 second. I cannot believe I forgot to upload the advertisement. Found it? No, I did not. All right, whatever it is. We don't have the ad. On the 25th, the last Wednesday of every single month, everybody. There we go. I have a group consultation. So for those who don't want to pay the full price for consultations one-on-one, the group consultations are fantastic because I limit them to 30 people. That's it, 30 people. I do a quick tax lecture, and then you get to ask a question to do with your tax bill. And I always recommend that you stick around and listen to everyone's question because you will get 30 different answers to 30 different questions, completely private. We do not, actually, we destroy the recording when we're done. We record it just so that we can transcribe in case there was something urgent that came up on the show in the way of a question, but then we delete them. So private, that's Wednesday, February 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Get your spot now. There's only 14 left, and do it on my website, kevinjjohnston.com. All right. There we go. And also, everyone, I am buying TikTok and Instagram channels. If you've got a TikTok or Instagram channel, I want to buy it, especially if it's got more than 1,000 followers. Get a hold of me on my website, please, so I can take that off your hands. Charlize, I have a yacht in my name. How do I get it to Panama? Oh, are you rich? Marry me. All right, and I'll show you where. No, plan. Your yacht. If you want to take your yacht through the canal, it's $4,000 to do so, and it's on very select days and times. Typically, what they do is on Sundays and Wednesdays here, on the Panama City side of the canal, is you go out at like 5 in the morning, you line up, and all the boats kind of puzzle piece themselves into the smaller locks, not the big ones. The small locks are pretty incredible. It's all gravity-fed water, and they fill up in 10 minutes to raise you up to the next point, and you can go through. If you're on the east coast of Canada, you'll end up in the city of Cologne. You can take the canal through. If you end up on, or if you're in Vancouver, you'll be on the Panama City side. There's a town called Coronado that has a whole bunch of boat slips that are cheap. Panama City boat slips are not cheap. They're expensive. I actually would like to build docks just outside of that. And we're currently looking for investors now because I just bought a piece of land on the beach that would allow me to run a boat slip. Anybody wants to be rich renting out boat space, let me know. Yes, Mama, if there's a mortgage on your property, you can still transfer it to a numbered corporation. If you're Canadian, you automatically angry paint all these taxes. Yes, I agree. Yeah, NIC gets it. All right. I'm behind on the questions now, so I'm going to go to the bottom of the list here. All right. Oh, and the Willow Tree says, yeah, remember, hey, guys, double tap. We've only got 8 minutes left here, and we're only at 48,000 likes. The goal is 70,000. Let's see if we can get to 70,000 likes tonight, please. Let me go back to the Rumble room. And Rumble, we only have 15 thumbs up. Everybody watching on Rumble, please hit the thumbs up. Greatly appreciate that. All right. Any more questions here? All right, Devin, you make a good point. Obligation is defined as a contract or to coercion. However, coercion cannot create a contract. That is correct. Rare Farmer, get a hold of me. I would love to chat with you about that. Charlize, thank you for the roses. I appreciate that. By the way, if you're looking to get a hold of me, everybody, please do not do DMs. My email box is full. My DMs are full. Everything has to go through my website. So please head over to kevinjjohnston.com and communicate with me directly through the website. That is how you're going to get to me a whole lot faster. DMs, I don't think I've looked at them in like 3 months. I need to hire someone to look at just my TikTok account. That's what I need to do. Nod Noob says I've got a $200K tax bill coming in March. Yeah, okay. I'd like to be your tax guy for that. And the Common Sense Conservative says you have a lot of scam accounts impersonating you. Yes, right now it's real Kevin J. Johnston. I do not take money through social media. I do not speak through Signal. I do not speak through Telegram. Do not give people money. I will not ask you for crypto unless thank you for that, unless we've had a conversation in some way. It's all got to be done through email. Use my website. Then you know you're talking to me and to my team. And remember, guys, when in doubt, if you think that you might be talking to a deep fake of me, and they are out there, always ask, Kevin, show me the blue camouflage mouse. Take a sip of a water. Let's see the AI do that. Or my favorite, all right? I wear these to the nightclub and I pick up checks because they're really cool. Okay? Tell me to put the glasses on. All right? You guys feel free. If we're meeting in a chat room, which we have to do, feel free to ask me to do something on my desk. I just got this the other day.
That was easy.
ask me to hit the button. AI can't do all that in real time, okay? And actually, I like those things. Especially when I used to be married. I would say, get out of the room, leave me alone. And as she would leave, I'd press the button. And then, of course, the argument would start back up. I got a sick sense of humor. All right. Yeah, we're at 61,000 likes, guys. We're almost there. Double fingers, double fingers. All right, we got 4 minutes left here. Let's see here. Common Sense Conservative. You have $86,000 in debt. We can solve that problem, but I need to know if it's personal or corporate because they are very different strategies. Charlize says, I watched you from the beginning. I was there when you started. Fantastic. I do appreciate that. Are you talking 2016? That's 10 years ago I started doing this full time. Isn't that crazy? Where the hell did time go? Woo! All right. Where am I located? Panama City. I've got offices in Calgary, Kamloops, Toronto, but I don't go. I don't like Canada anymore. I really don't. I just don't see a point. The left wing politics are just mind-numbing. I can't be near them anymore. The alternative to a consumer proposal is that we do not do bankruptcy unless we absolutely have to. We want to make sure that we are proposing directly to the creditor if you feel like paying the bill. Or what we do is not negotiate at all and switch everything into a numbered corporation with new bank accounts. You move all your money there, and now you're judgment proof. So long as your car's not in your name, your house is in a corporate name, no personal bank accounts, everything's done through numbered corporations, nobody can take a thing from you. In that case, bankruptcy is not even necessary because the bankruptcy is on your record for 7 years, and the debt you have is on your record for 7 years. So what's the point? All right, we want to ensure that you're not getting trapped in with a bad crowd, and the trustees are a bad crowd. They're not lawyers, and they hurt you immensely. Oh, and Charlize, you were talking about a yacht there. I do have answers for you, by the way, in reference to how to get that thing to Panama. So please hit me up on the contact form on the website. We did it, guys. We got the 70,000 likes tonight. God, I love you people. I love you people. And yes, I say you people, because what the hell else would I say? Can I love you dogs? No, I love you people. Thank you for doing this. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Am I coming back to Canada? Not until the left-wing politics dies off. All right, guys? The left, I can't do it. I can't be around it. It's debilitating. So when there is a big shift in the way the country behaves, then yeah, sure. That's probably going to be a decade. And there's more money in Panama and Colombia and Argentina and Chile than there is in Canada right now. So for me, it's going to be the lower half of the planet this time. I got to go where the money is. And a lot of you should consider thinking the same way. Go where the dough is. You want dough, it ain't in Canada. I can tell you that right now. All right. Yeah, not Narb. Canada is completely broke, and all of you need to accept that fact. And no amount of crying or protesting is going to change that. I noticed that Toronto's got a lot of protests going on, but it's not even for Canada. It's for countries you've never heard of. That's crazy. You're arguing with people that you don't know about people that you don't know in a country you've never been to and don't know where to find it on a map. That doesn't make money, guys. Make money. Forget the planet. Make money. And I do corporate tax, everyone. You got to sign up for all that on my website. That's kevinjjohnston.com. Everyone, I do not do DMs, so please do not DM me. You're not going to get a reply. And try to stay away from the scammers, everyone, all right? Because there's so many of them out there. My Instagram is, actually, I don't have one right now. But my TikTok is real Kevin J. Johnston, and that's it. That's the only one that you should be following. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs every single Tuesday right here on freedomreport.ca. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I love you all, and good night.